And I remember telling my dad, just looking at me scared, worried. And my cousin Bubba looking worried. My manager, Frank Espinosa, they were all, they all kept looking at me like something was bad. And I remember hugging my pa, and I said, pa, it's crazy. I thought the guy broke my jaw. Pensé que me quebré quijada. And my pa looks at me scared. He goes, like, tienes quebrada, it is broken. And I knew it, man. I this whole time I think it was just Milito Diaz, like.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Top Rank Unboxed. It's your boy Ricky, and I'm here with my co-host Jalen, and we have a very special guest with us today.
We're super excited to introduce Oscar Valdez on the Unbox'd pod today. Oscar is 30-1. He is a former two-weight world champ, and he will be fighting in a rematch against Adam Lopez on the Haney Loma undercard. Oscar, how is camp going? Because I know you're in Mexico.
How's it going? It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Everything's gone well. Right now I'm very excited. I'm happy. I'm very anxious to come back. Boxing is my life, is my world. This is what I'm most passionate about. Being in the ring, fighting for my fans. I've been fighting ever since I was 8 years old, and this is my longest layoff. Today is the 1 year from my last fight, so I'm just hungry to come back strong, and I'm happy to be in the gym. Just can't wait. May 20th we're gonna be back in the ring, and can't wait to show you guys a good fight.
And you usually do camp in San Diego, right?
Yes, it's usually in San Diego. It all depends where my trainer Eddie Reynoso wants to go. So we train in San Diego, also we train here in Guadalajara. So either or places where we're always up and down.
Yeah, and how does camp differ from Mexico to here in the States?
It's different. I mean, it's different, but at the same time, it's kind of the same because it doesn't matter where I train. If it's San Diego, if it's Hermosillo, it could be in China. It's to the gym, work hard, then go back to the apartment, sleep and rest up for the next session. So it's a little bit the same, but at the same time, I like it a little bit more here in Guadalajara due to the fact that it's higher elevation, higher altitude here in Guadalajara. So it helps me get more conditioned by the time I fight. So that's one of the keys that I like. I've been coming here to Guadalajara ever since I was a little kid. I'm originally from Nogales, Sonora, but there's a lot of tournaments here in Guadalajara, so I'm very familiar with Guadalajara, and I got a lot of friends here. So there's a lot of sparring partners. So I also like that. In fact, there's a lot of sparring partners. The food over here is amazing. I feel like it's easier to maintain my diet for fruits and vegetables. It's more fresh over here, so it just helps on my diet, make it way easier. And overall, it's just cheaper. Camp is cheaper. That's a good thing. So it's very expensive. California is crazy expensive. California's those rent, the rent is crazy. So
horrible.
Definitely love it here in Guadalajara being way cheaper.
Yeah, Jalen's a California girl, so she knows it.
My God, I was living in LA, and that was crazy.
The rent over there is just it's unbelievable.
It's absurd.
So yeah, definitely love it here more.
Yeah, that's funny that you say it's easier to maintain your diet in Mexico, because I mean it makes sense. Like the produce is a lot fresher there, but I would have thought it would be harder because I would be going for like all the carne asada and everything with all the seasoning. And
you would imagine that because there's first of all, there's carne asada everywhere. You go to the streets, you can smell the tacos everywhere. You can smell just the food, all variety of food. But that's the same in the States where I go. Everywhere I go, I smell. If I'm in California, if I drive through a In-N-Out, you can smell the In-N-Out. So
that's true.
It's kind of the same, but that's the reason why. That's one of the reasons why I train. Then I go directly to the apartment to rest up. We always got our diet. We go to the supermarket, get as much as we can to stay at the house. Obviously I got my guy, my cousin Bubba Valdez, who's always with me. He goes out, gets all the groceries, and we come back. And he comes back. I just go back from the gym, and I have everything here, so there's no need for me to be outside. So yeah, it makes it easier. But I understand that going out to the streets right here, everything smells so delicious. But over time, you get used to it, and you learn that mind is powerful. You know how to block yourself from temptation of food. The diet can become way easier.
What was it like growing up in Nogales?
It was definitely way different than here. You know, it's just like I said, I had a strict childhood life. You know, a lot of people who don't know my father. My father is the one who got me into the game of boxing, into all the sports. He put me on. But my father is a very military style guy. So Nogales, just like in a lot of places, man, there was a lot of gangs. You know, obviously, being that it's the border of the United States and Mexico, there's a lot of drug lords, you know, the mafia, and you know, you can easily get the wrong route in a spot like Nogales, somewhere similar to Agua Prieta, to Tijuana, and all these border line is you can easily end up in the wrong side. But having a father like my dad, you know, having someone like him definitely saved my life because he was always very strict. You know, obviously you go out with your friends, and you always I wanted to go out with the friends and the next door neighbor with my friends, and my father was always very strict about not getting into gangs and not following the footsteps of a lot of people who ended up in bad situations. So um, I can say I had a good childhood, but it was a very strict lifestyle that I had with my father. But that's the reason why I am the person that I am today, because every day waking up early before school. So I used to go to school at 7 in the morning. So I had to wake up at 5:30 to go run, then come back, get ready to go to school, come back, and then go to the gym again. That was just my lifestyle as a kid. You know, a lot of my cousins, a lot of my friends, you know, they went out for birthday parties and they went out to different events, and that wasn't the case with me. My lifestyle was waking up early to run, going to school, come back, and going to boxing again. But all that was thanks to my father. So yeah, that's how it was.
That's the sacrifices of a champion right there. And now look at you. You're one of the best guys in boxing right now. Talk about the first time your pops put the gloves on you. Do you remember that time?
Oh, I remember like it was yesterday. Because my father always try to push sports into me. We did everything. You know, we did baseball, we did track. I was in swimming classes. What you know, soccer. We did everything. But the one sport the two sports that I fell in love with was baseball and boxing. But boxing was the last sport he put me in. You know, my dad was a baseball player himself, so I used to follow him to a baseball game. Then he continued going to a boxing gym, and I just followed my dad's footsteps. I was just going with him everywhere. You know, obviously, I was very attached to my father. Where my father and my mother had four kids, and including myself, and I was the one who was always with them. So everywhere my father went, I went. So I followed him to a boxing gym, and that was the first time. I was 8 years old, and we put the gloves on for the first time. And there was kids there. You know, there's always kids in the boxing gyms. And we put the gloves on. We got into a sparring session, and I loved it. For the first time putting the gloves and sparring, we did all right. I remember being doing all right. I remember being excited because I gave the kid a bloody nose, and in my mind, as an 8 year old, I thought I won because I gave him a bloody nose. So I came off that boxing gym, and I remember just thinking to myself, "This is me. This is what I like to do." And I just it grew a lot of passion in me, and to this day, I still have it. To this day, truly, boxing, like I said, is my life. Is my, I'm very passionate about what I do. I love being in the gym. I love fighting. I love watching fights, and I still have that passion, like I said, as when I was an 8 year old.
What was the first fight that you remember? The first like big fight you vividly remember watching as a kid, and you're like, "Damn, that's gonna be me one day."
Oh, Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, can
That,
never go wrong with that one.
that and I've said this to Marco Antonio Barrera and to Eric Morales because I've got the chance to meet him. Um, and I've told them both, you guys don't know how much you guys inspired me to be the person that I am, the fighter that I am, not the person, the fighter that I am. Because I tell a lot of my sparring partners, a lot of my friends, I tell them, man, I can box too. My style is to box, jab, and move back, and I can move around the ring, and I can do a lot of those things. But it stuck with me when I was a kid, watching those fights, Eddie Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera, I used to dream one day being a fighter like them. I used to picture myself. I used to daydream. I was in school and I was daydreaming of me fighting like Eddie Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera, giving wars and having the people cheer for you and get excited. So I've got the chance to tell them both, you guys don't really know how much you guys inspired me. That's one of the reasons why, I could continue to fight, and I want to inspire the new generation of boxing the same way Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera inspired me.
We had just posted Hagler Hearns not too long ago, and it's just, you see everybody in the comments. It's just like, it's just not like that anymore. Guys just don't come out and just start winging away. What are your thoughts on that, though? If a guy is ready to come at you and just from round one, what's your thoughts on that?
So I love it. Me personally, I love it. If I could choose a fighter to come to, I'd rather say let's stay toe to toe right here and let the best man win. But the game has changed. Like we know, the fighters are smarter now. The art of hitting and not hitting. Like Muhammad Ali started that. You could say that Muhammad Ali did that perfectly. But yeah, people love that style of Hagler and Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran. I think those were the glory days because the divisions were stacked and everybody fought everybody. But yeah, we missed those days for sure. I mean, those weren't my days, but I've always watched boxing. I've always watched tapes of boxing, and if I could pick the best era, I will pick the 80s, where it was Marvelous Hagler, Tommy Hearns, and Marvelous Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. Those were fights that people love to watch, and you don't see it nowadays. I think that the reason why is because the new generation believes that you have to protect your undefeated record.
That's the biggest issue in boxing.
It's Floyd kind of put that style that you gotta defend your undefeated record, and it's true. You gotta defend your undefeated record, but you also gotta fight the best. You also gotta fight the best, and a lot of times now sometimes not even the fighters' fault, or even the promoters. You got TV networks that are involved, and it just makes it tougher for fighters to fight other fighters. And that's why you don't see those fights no more. As like you said, Marvelous Hagler and Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, because politics, and the fighters who try to defend their undefeated record. But I feel like this might be changing a little bit.
Yeah, especially after last weekend.
We just saw a fight, that everybody was waiting for that. But I do feel that it has to come from the fighters as well. They want to have it and try to push it a little bit more. But hopefully, boxing changes again to those type of styles, because that's what people like to see. We want to see a Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. We want to see those mega fights. But it's just hard to pick one thing. It's not the fighter's fault. Well, it's not completely the fighter's fault. It's not completely the promoter's fault. It's not completely the network fault. It's a little bit combination of everything and why these fights don't occur.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like, boxing has been shooting itself in the foot for a while. There's a lot of networks, a lot of politics, it's a lot of business before it's a sport, and we all know that. It's changed since the 80s when everything was under one umbrella and there was only like two promoters. Now you got like 20 different promoters. But we wanted to kind of go back a little bit and dive in, your amateur career. You had a very decorated amateur career. You fought in the Pan Am Games, you fought in the World Championships, you fought in 2008 and 2012 Olympics. Did you ever have a moment through that time period where you were just going through all these big time tournaments and you had that moment like, this is for me, I'm going to be a world champ, I'm going to be one of the greatest of all time?
Yeah, it happened. It came to my mind a lot of times, but mostly when I first started, since I was a little kid, 8 years old, 9 year old, 10, 11, during that age, I just kept on telling myself, one day I'm going to be a world champion. I would look at fighters like Marco Antonio Barrera, Eddie Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, Oscar De La Hoya. Even though Julio Cesar Chavez wasn't in my days, I used to always see tapes of him. I used to always tell myself, one day I'm going to be world champion. But the one thing that I always wanted when I was a kid was to go to Olympics. Every 4 years, I would watch the Olympics. And I would watch track, I would watch swimming, I would watch boxing, obviously. I watched all these sports. And there was something about the Olympics that always, would attract my attention. So my goal was definitely to go to Olympics. That was my main goal. Obviously, to win the gold medal. That's what we always wanted. But going to the first Olympics was something crazy for me, because you dream of something ever since you're a little kid, and you finally achieve it. And the odds of you doing it are very slim. Being realistically, you tell a kid, hey, what do you want to do? I want to go to Olympics. Well, the odds of that happening is very slim. But if you put your mind to it, if you put the effort, you go through discipline, and you dream about it every day, odds get better. And that's what we did. We worked hard. I fought. I had a lot of amateur fights before, trying out for the team. And the odds for me, a young kid fighting someone like Carlos Cuadras, who was already a Pan American champion, were very slim. But we work hard every day till we eventually we beat someone like Carlos Cuadras, and we got the gold medal in the national team, and we got the chance to represent our country in the Olympics. So going to Olympics was one of the best experiences of my life. Going there and representing your country, putting the Mexico shirt and fighting, and having a whole country watch you fight. Even though we lost in both Olympics, we didn't get what we wanted. We wanted the gold medal, and we wanted to even be on the podium. Even though we didn't achieve that, having the whole country seeing you fight and seeing that you give it your best was just amazing. It was just a beautiful experience for me, and that opened up the doors to go as a professional. So when I was in Olympic, when I was going through that phase of going to the Central American Games, Pan American Games, and all these world championships, I wasn't thinking about the professional world. I was strictly concentrating on the Olympics. When the Olympics were done, that's where I started telling myself, all right, the next goal, and then my next big dream is to become a world champion. So we started out from zero again. I went to Olympics when I was 17 years old, and then the next one when I was 21 years old. So starting at 21 professional, that was like a new beginning for me. And my dream was to become a world champion. And I thank the Lord, I thank God that dream became true in 2016.
So how did you end up with Top Rank? Like, how was the first conversation?
Because you were highly sought after as an amateur. There was a lot of people. You were like the most sought after guy on the Mexican team.
Yeah, well, so when I came back from the Olympics, it was a good fight that we had in the Olympics against Ireland. We lost to get the bronze medal, and it was very controversial because I dropped my opponent with a body shot, so I caused a lot of noise. People, came back to Mexico and everybody was cheering for me, saying that we got robbed, saying this and that. And there was high hopes for me. Everybody received me with open arms. And then I feel that caught the attention of promoters. All the promoters started reaching out to me. But I was already a fan of Top Rank, because Top Rank had a lot of history. Top Rank, managed and promoted the great Muhammad Ali, promoted guys like Floyd Mayweather, even Oscar De La Hoya went through Top Rank. And at the time, he had Miguel Cotto, he got Pacquiao, Top Rank had Timothy Bradley, and there was just a lot of big names in Top Rank. So I was kind of a fan of Top Rank, and we knew, I always wanted to be a fighter like those. So I knew Top Rank was a better option for me. And we sat down with Top Rank. I felt a good vibe, because I'm a lot about vibrations. Is how do I feel the guys in front of me, and I just love Bob's vibration, love Todd Buff and Top Rank in general. And we decided to go with Top Rank. And I'm still, to this day, I'm still happy with them. I'm thankful for Top Rank for giving me the shot, because there's a lot of fighters over here in Mexico who wish to be with a promoter like Top Rank. Sometimes you gotta sign a local promoter to get to Top Rank, and you will never get the same treatment that Top Rank offers you if you're not directly with them. So, I'm very happy we made that decision going with Top Rank. And to this day, I'm still happy with them. And I thank God and thank Top Rank for putting great fights in front of me and making me into a champion.
Yeah, speaking of a champion, your first world title win was in 2018 against Matias Rueda. Talk about that feeling of knocking him out and then they put the belt over you. Like, what was going through your mind in that moment that you actually accomplished that?
Man, a lot of emotions were going through my mind when I won the first world champion. Man, I couldn't believe it. It was 2016. It was for the
It was 16, not 18?
no, it was 16.
It was 16, excuse me.
And it was Terrence Crawford against Victor Postol. And that opportunity came. I was ranked number one, and then Matias Rueda was ranked number two, and the champion at the time was Vasily Lomachenko. But Vasily Lomachenko goes up to another division, to the 130, and he leaves the division vacant. So me being ranked number one and Matias Rueda ranked number two, we fight for the vacant world title, the WBO world title, and I could feel it. I remember training hard and just tasting it, having this sensation that is my dream to become a world champion is so close. And man, do we work hard. We work hard for all the fights. Ever since I was an amateur, people who know me, the trainers who know me know that I work hard. I give it my best every day in the gym. If I have energy to go out to the store and walk, or do something else in training, it means I didn't train hard in the gym. You work hard, and you give it your best, and you come back to your apartment, wherever you're staying at, strictly to rest. But for that camp, for the world title for the world title fight, I was very focused, very, very focused, and there was nothing else in my mind that I was almost touching that belt. So I feel that night nobody could have beat me. Nobody could have beat me because I was very focused. I was well prepared. I was fighting for that dream that ever since I was a little kid I wanted. So I just went in there like with the mentality that I'm gonna eat you alive. And that's what we did. We went. I gave it everything. We could take it to the body, throwing left hooks over right hand, and everything was landing. I was telling myself, stay focused, because I could see in his eyes that the punches were hurting him until eventually caught him with that body shot that made him take a knee. And even right there, I was telling myself, stay relaxed because everything can happen. If you go too crazy, you catch it with a crazy shot, and the fight could be over, and then you lose your opportunity. So I was just very focused, and yeah, we got it. And the next body shot I hit him, it was done. You see, he took another knee, and he called it. I was so focused. I remember that night that when I was a little kid, I used to always dream that Michael Buffer would announce my fights. I was so focused that I swear that the whole time when I went in the ring, I did not know that Michael Buffer was the one who announced me. He's from Nogales, Sonora, Oscar, Valdez, you put in there, let's get ready to rumble, everything. And I didn't hear it. I didn't even see him. That's how focused I was on just winning the fight. And he announced me winning and everything, and I didn't even remember seeing him. That's how focused I was. I was crying. I was enjoying. I was a lot of emotions going through my mind. I remember hugging my father a lot because obviously it's a one-man sport, they call it, because you're alone in the ring, but it's a team. It's a strong team. And the number one guy who's always believed in me, who's been strict, and who's always he's never sugarcoated nothing. Who's always been direct with me. If you had a bad day, you had a bad day. If you look like shit, you look like shit. If you did good, you did all right. He's always very strict with me. But that day, my dad was very emotional. So then that brought me, obviously, me winning, having my father in my corner, and just telling ourselves that we did it. We did it. It was one of the most amazing experiences. It's up there with being an Olympian. Being the world champion for the first time was the highest things that I've gone through in my life.
Now, you said your pops was always strict with you your whole life. Was it kind of weird for you in that moment to see him that vulnerable with you in that moment? Was it a surprise?
Yes and no, because we have me and my father have a very strange relationship. He's very strict with me. So he doesn't really show his emotions, but every time I'm in a fight, he shows his emotions. He tells me, he says it's not easy as a as a father to see his kid, go to a ring and risk his life and then maybe getting hit. It's not easy for him, even though he always keeps a straight face. It's always very serious. He obviously he has a heart, and he tells me that. But he only shows it to me when I'm a fight. So it wasn't the fact that it was only for a world title. Every single fight that I have ever since I was an amateur, I could see it. So it was very emotional that day we made it, because it was it was both of our dreams. But though I can truly say that the few times that I see his emotions are only when we're in the ring together. It's the only times you're gonna see me and him who are hugging that same way, because after that, it's just father and son love. It's very military. It's a very yes sir type of thing.
I know you said you see a lot of his emotions in some of these fights. Now, if we're talking about, let's say, the Scott Quigg fight, I can only imagine his reaction, because that was a war, bro. Like, that was such a war. Talk about, when you broke your jaw in that fight. Did you feel it when it happened, or you couldn't feel it because all the adrenaline was flowing through your veins?
I get that question a lot, because we all know that adrenaline takes the pain away, in some sense, and it does. But when he caught me in that 5th round, it caught me clean over right hand. That was my fault, because I threw a jab and I came back with my hands down and my mouth open. So he caught me in my jaw and just broke it in half. Broke. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, it's broken. I remember saying to myself, because prior to that fight, I remember saying, I'm going to break his jaw. I remember telling my team, I'm going to break his jaw. And go figures, that thing was a test from God or something, because he caught me clean and broke it. I remember telling myself, man, why did I say that? and it was something crazy, because I thought you can locate your jaw back, because I've seen before where some people dislocate their shoulder and they put it back together. For some crazy reason, I thought in the fight that I could probably put it back together. But just going back to the corner, sitting down, and I told my pa, I told him, hey, pa, me chingó la quijada. And my dad looked at me with frightened eyes. That's one thing that I said. I never see my dad scared or worried. Even in tough situations, he always has a straight face, never worried. And I remember looking at my eyes, pero estás bien, mijo? And I remember saying yes, but I don't know what I was saying. Because my dad said, "You want to estás bien?" I said, "Yeah." But at that time, you only got 1 minute of rest, and I had my trainer at the time, Manny Robles, was telling me instructions. So I'm hearing him, then I'm hearing Miguelito Diaz, who's a cut man, trying to stop the bleeding, and I got my father, and these 3 persons are talking, but I'm talking to myself. So it's a lot of people talking at the same time. I wasn't paying attention to nothing. I was just paying attention to what I was telling myself. And my questions were, am I going to stop the fight? Or is my trainer going to stop the fight? Because I remember as a team talking about tough fights, and remember them saying that if we're ever in a tough situation, that they're going to be obligated to stop the fight, because they don't want to see their fighter being hurt. So I remember thinking about that, and my trainer is like, is my trainer Manny Robles going to stop the fight? Is my father going to stop the fight? Is the referee going to stop the fight? Because the referee also passes by to check the corner. Or should I stop the fight? Because obviously I want to last in boxing, and for me to last in boxing, you got to get hit and not take a lot of damage during your career. So while I was thinking all those things, what was going to happen? You hear the 10 seconds where it's time for the team to leave, and you have to get up and you got to go to fight. So while I'm thinking all these, a 10-second countdown goes, and everybody has to leave, and they leave, and that was one of the most frightening things, that you can have the best corner, man. You can have Mike Tyson in your corner, but at the end of the day, you're by yourself inside the ring. And when they left, I remember thinking, what's going to happen? So by the time I had to think, the bell rang again, and we had to go. So I said, all right, I'm going to take it one more round. So I remember going to that next round, and I remember fighting through it. And once thing you know, the bell rang again. So I said to myself, all right, I'm just going to take it round by round, see what happens. And that's what I did. That's what we did. Every punch that he would land hurt it a lot. It was like a volume of pain just goes a lot, and then when there was no pain, no shots, the pain would leave through the adrenaline. But there was a lot of punches landing, there was a lot of punches. And I remember in the 10th round, we were dominant. I feel like I was winning the fight, even though it was a bloody mess. His nose was broken, my jaw was broken. There was just a lot of blood everywhere. I remember holding him, clinching, trying to be, buy some time. And he puts his hands up and he tries to push me away, but he didn't know that he had broken my jaw. He never realized that he had broken my jaw too later in the fight, too later when the fight was over. So what he does, he puts his hands in my face and tries to push me away because I was holding him. And while he does that, I hear it crack 2 more times.
Oh
I felt it broken. It was him pushing, and you can see it in the video. After he pushes me, you can see my jaw even more twisted to the side. I remember thinking to myself, man, this sucks.
It sucks. Like, this is horrible.
I remember a couple of times hurting him. And I'm telling myself, man, why does he not go down? But for people who don't know, he came overweight for that fight. He was 3 pounds over. 3 pounds over, and in the night of a fight, I believe it was like 147, something crazy. I don't know the exact, but he was something crazy, high in weight. So every shot that I was landing, I would kind of hurt him, but he wouldn't go down. And I would tell him, man, why didn't you just go down? He just kept on coming forward and forward, landing those shots. And like I said, every shot that landed, a lot of pain would go, and then it would go away. But in the 10th round, like I said, he broke it a little bit more because he pushed me away. And then, the championship rounds at 12, 11, and 12, I remember hearing Miguelito Diaz say that, he said something about your tooth fell. He said,
No.
I believe it was in the 11th round, he said, your tooth fell. So when I was sitting down from 5th and to on, I knew my jaw was broken. Then in the 11th round, when I sat down, he said, oh, your tooth fell, because that's what he saw. He saw that I was missing a tooth. But what it really was that my jaw was split open.
Oh,
so he thought it was my tooth had fallen. So when he says that, I thought to myself, oh man, I'm stupid. I thought this whole time I had my jaw broken. It is just a tooth that fell. So that gave me a lot more confidence. Oh man, I thought I had my jaw broken. So I'm gonna stay in there.
Oh, interesting.
Because my tooth can fall. No pasa nada. No, I don't have my jaw broken.
No pasa nada.
I fought. For the 11th round and 12th round, I fought thinking that my jaw wasn't broken. So by the time the fight was
I did not know that.
I was happy because when going to 12 rounds it's one of the best experiences because it's not easy. Obviously, it's you go through a lot of pain, endurance, and it's not easy to go 12 rounds. So going to 12 rounds, I feel like sometimes it's even better feeling than just knocking out your opponent. So I was happy. I knew we won the fight, and I remember telling my dad just looking at me scared, worried, and my cousin Bubba looking worried. My manager Frank Espinosa, they were all kept looking at me like something was bad. And I remember hugging my pa, and I said, pa, it's crazy. I thought the guy broke my jaw. Pensé que me quebré quijada. And my pa looks at me scared. He goes, like, tienes quebrada. Like, it is broken. And I knew it, man. I this whole time I think it was just tools that fell. Miguelito Diaz, but it was a good thing because when he said that, I thought, oh, it's not broken. So I got to fight a little bit more comfortable. So we got the victory, man. We got the victory. I was very happy. I'm thinking, so when I go to camps, I leave my family away. My family, from everywhere, my kids, everything. I don't see them for 2 months. So every time I fight, I don't want to party. I don't want to do nothing. All I want to do is maybe get a burger and go directly to Hermosillo, where my family lives. And I'm like, oh man, so my jaw's broken. I'm happy. I'm celebrating. I'm gonna get it. For some reason, I thought it was just stitches. I'm gonna get stitches very quick, and I'm gonna get on the first flight. I'm gonna go direct to Hermosillo to see my family. And I don't know what the fight was tough, but what was tougher was the aftermath of what
the
happened.
recovery. Yeah,
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
It was
how crappy was it?
I'm sure
bad.
It was horrible. Because
you fight and you're dehydrated and you go through 2 months of diet. What do you want to do? You want to go home. You're living in abstinence in camp. You want to go home to your wife, but you want to go eat too because you're hungry. You've been sacrificing 2 months of diet. You want to drink water. You're dehydrated, and I couldn't eat and I couldn't drink water because they put me. Well, first we'll go back. They put us in the ambulance. And that was a shocking moment because obviously we're happy we won the fight. But then to get you out of the arena, they have to put you on They had to push him in the ambulance.
Stretcher. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat down, immediately everybody started crying. My teammates were crying. My sister was crying. My father had a sad face. He like worried. So I was like, man, I remember telling him, "Come out, man, we won. I'm gonna see you guys over there. We're gonna go do this and that." Once we got in the ambulance, it turned lonely very quick. Everybody's with you, and all of a sudden it's lonely. I'm just looking at myself and looking at my father. My father was the only guy with me. I had my jaw broken, and my phone was blowing up. My phone was blowing up. I didn't imagine what was going on because for me it was just a normal night of boxing. But that day I felt that I graduated for the fans because the fans. I feel like boxing is it's a very tough sport because it's very hard to convince a boxing fan. Sometimes you need to show a war, or sometimes you got to show a bloody fight. Sometimes you got to have a knockout resume. But that night, I felt that everybody was happy for the fight, and my phone was blowing up. I was having celebrities text me through my DMs, and everybody texting me, and my family and friends and Bob. So fast forward when I'm in the hospital, it's like a day later because they had me a whole day in the hospital dehydrated because if you're gonna go through surgery, you can't drink water or eat because surgery you can throw up. So I had like a full day of just dehydrated, sucked. The doctor comes in and tells me the procedure. He tells me everything. Look, you're gonna go to sleep. We're gonna tie your mouth. You're not gonna be able to talk. We're gonna sew your mouth with wires.
Mm-hmm.
He said all that, but it came through one year and led to another because I was on the phone. I was on the phone the whole time because I was full of emotions. I was euphoria. Everybody was texting me and eres el campeón. You're the warrior. You're this. You're that. And I was feeling it, man. Everybody loves me right now. So,
with your quijada all like broken, you're like that.
I had my jaw was broken in two right here, so I couldn't really talk. But the doctor was telling me everything, and I kept on saying, "Oh yeah," looking at my phone, and he was explaining to me, and I was yeah, and looking at my phone, and then surgery goes. And once thing you know, I'm asleep. So picture, I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at it. Then all of a sudden, all right, give me your phone. We're gonna go. All right, take the phone. I'm asleep. I wake up, and I couldn't open my mouth.
Oh God, I
didn't hear them. They were gonna shut my mouth. I thought they were gonna stitch my mouth right here from the bottom, but my mouth was shut. And this is very common as boxers. We can't breathe through one nose. If I sit right here and try to breathe, I can only breathe through one nose. So that's
horrible.
Horrible.
You should get that fixed.
Very common as fighters. But having your mouth shut and only having to breathe through one nostril is scary because you can't catch your complete breath. So if anybody out there listening, you try to breathe through one nostril only. It gets very hard after a while.
That's like so scary.
It's like suffocating.
Literally.
But I would have known that if I would have paid attention to the doctor. So I wake up and my mouth is shut and I started panicking. I wanted to grab my mouth and open it, rip it apart, but I couldn't because it's wired through your gums. It's wired through your gum to shut it so it doesn't move your jaw. And those 2 next days were one of the hardest things in my life because I was telling myself, I was by myself in my room. My family was barely driving from Hermosillo to California to go visit me because I was supposed to go back, catch a flight back. So they were coming, and I miss my family, my kids. I miss everybody, and I had my mouth shut. And that night it was very lonely. I was by myself in my room. It was just me and my cousin Bubba in the next room. But I remember telling myself, like, I'm gonna die because I couldn't breathe. I remember I couldn't sleep, just looking at myself, man, this is the day where I die. It sucks because I just had the fight in my life. And right now, I'm gonna suffocate. I'm gonna suffocate. I can't eat. I can't drink water. Well, I can drink water. Water we have, but I couldn't eat. I was hungry as hell, very hungry. But and I miss my family. It's one thing I miss. Before I leave, I want to see my family because I was panicking. I had an anxiety attack. That's what it was. I didn't know what anxiety was till that night. after that, I knew what it was after that night. And yeah, I remember just thinking to myself, man, this is it. I'm gonna die right here. I just had the fight of my life, and I'm gonna die. But I lasted the night, for like as much as I could. I found a way how to breathe through one nostril, and I made it through the night. Then the journey starts for the next 2 months. That's how it was. Not able to eat, just having to blend potatoes and blend eggs and do a lot of protein shakes. That was the worst because I lost a lot of weight, but not just a lot of weight. I lost a lot of muscle mass because of that. Because I couldn't train, I couldn't eat, I couldn't do nothing. So it was 2 months that just sitting there looking at everybody eat. And the worst part of everything was everybody feeling sorry for you. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I'm a man. I'm a fighter. You go through shit in life. As man, that's what we do. Suck it up. But when someone feels sorry for you, like your wife or your mother and your friends, and oh, pobrecito, it's like, nah, get away. So we would do carne asadas in my house, and they wouldn't want to eat. They wouldn't want to eat because they felt bad for me, and that would piss me off. I said, man, you guys better eat, coman, because that's what it's for. That's what the family routine is here for. Everybody got to eat. And what they had to do is to get a plate, and they would go around the house and go somewhere else and hide from me to eat. And it was like, oh man, I hate that. Like, because it wasn't the same environment as I'm used to. We used to fight. I'm used to fighting. Then we go back home. We throw carne asada. Got the uncles, got the cousins, got the kids everywhere running, and everybody's eating. Some people are drinking on the side. Some people are just enjoying themselves, and that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. But when my mouth wired, none of that was happening. It was just everybody was in a sad environment, the energy just wasn't there. So those 2 months, man, it sucked. It sucked. And then one thing was going through another. I was like, all right, when they take the wires off, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat that, I'm gonna go get a burger, I'm gonna get In-N-Out, I'm gonna eat a pizza, I'm gonna get some tacos. And then they take the wires off, and they don't tell you this, but it's your jaw, it's a muscle. So when they take it off, you try to open your mouth, you can't open your mouth. You can hardly open your mouth.
You gotta train it to do it again, right?
So you gotta it took like another extra 2 days for me to stretch my muscles to be able to eat. So they take my wires off, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat this. And I couldn't eat. I remember getting a burger and being so pissed off that I squished it, and just shoved it as much as I can through my mouth. And little by little, I ate it like a duck. I was eating like a duck. I had to put my face up and had the food just go down. It sucked, man, but it's part of the game. It's part of boxing. Sometimes, shit happens like that. And you got to be willing to do this, man. I heard Teofimo say something last time, a couple of days ago. He said, you got to be willing to die for this. And I could agree a little bit with that. I could agree with, man, you're risking your life in there. And maybe I wouldn't have died in the ring, which has happened a lot of times in boxing. Unfortunately, as people have died inside the ring. But that day, I was very close to death after the fight because I had my mouth wired. So, you gotta be willing to go through those type of things. Only if you love it, man. I love what I do, and if I can go back, I wouldn't change. Because a lot of people were telling me that's only your fault. People were mad at me for taking the fight. Well, not people. Not people. I'll take it back. My family was mad at me. They said, why'd you take that fight if you know the guy was 3 pounds over? You shouldn't have taken the fight. See what happened? He broke your jaw. This happened. And I said, my answer was always the same. If I can go back in time, I wouldn't change nothing, because that's the fight that brought me more fans, or brought me more people, or people accepted me as a fighter. Because there's always that comment where, yeah, he's good, but he doesn't have this. Yeah, he's good, but he doesn't have that. Yeah, he's good, but does he have heart? Does he have what it takes to be a champion? And after that night, I felt like I got the acceptance of a lot of boxing fans. Like I said, boxing fans are the hardest to convince. And after that night, I felt like I convinced a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, I still remember watching that live with my dad, and we were both like looking at each other the whole time. Like, this is crazy. This is one of the best fights. Like, this Oscar Valdez kid is so good. Like, he's so crazy. So you're right. I guess it's a sacrifice you have to make on your part, to bring a really good fight. And I'll never forget that fight, and I didn't have to go through anything you did, but I loved that fight. Yeah. I still love it. I still watch it.
And it's crazy because you forget these fights, like for instance, we're talking right now and that fight's in the past. As a good trainer of mine said, Profe Bonilla, let his soul rest in peace. He told me, you can't live with the past. You can't live with those glory days. You always look for more. And I forget about those fights, and I'm always happy when I hear these type of comments. When I go out through somewhere and someone reminds me of those, like, hey, remember when you fought Scott Quigg? It was crazy. And I was like, oh man, it's true. Man, those were crazy days. And the night in general was crazy because I found out that I truly have some fans. At the time, every fan that was there present, I thanked them a lot because that night was raining and a lot of people left. And the people who saw that fight live, my heart goes to them and thank you because it was raining and it was cold. And the fans who stayed there to watch it was just like, oh man, I got some fans. People stay here in the rain just to watch me fight. So the night was a magical night, with the jaw, with the whole thing, him not making weight. It was raining. We had to go out to the fight they had to put some plastic bags over our shoes so the shoes don't get inside the ring. So everything was just crazy. And then going through the ambulance, everything was just crazy. But it was an unbelievable night. It was very magical. And like I said, that's where I started hearing this word a lot. Guerrero. Eres un guerrero. Es un guerrero. And then in boxing, you don't call anybody a guerrero. Just anybody. And not anybody's just a guerrero. You call somebody like my idols, Eddie Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. Those are guerreros. Those are warriors. So after the fight, some people would call me guerrero or warrior. That just brought a lot of joy to me because it was like a dream true.
So now, you went through a stretch of fights. After that, you defended your featherweight title 6 times. You fought, you knocked out Rochelle, you fought Conceição, you came up short against Shakur, but you were supposed to fight Navarrete, and now you're going to fight Adam Lopez for a second time. How are you feeling going into May 20th?
Well, I'm excited. We were going to go to Navarrete. We were supposed to fight February 3rd. We were supposed to fight. And, I got a lot of heat from this. Well, I got a lot of heat from this because an interview I had with ESPN.
With Kriegel. I remember.
They were telling me what happened, and I didn't believe I said nothing wrong. I broke my ribs on my back. Well, I said it wrong. I broke my back, and they started imitating.
Mike Tyson thing.
I thought it was funny as hell. I don't read the comments. I don't really usually read comments.
Good for you.
I was reading those comments because I thought it was funny because it just came off wrong. I broke my ribs on the ribs that are on my back. That's what 2 of my ribs. It was what you call the freak accident. A lot of my friends and a lot of people were saying, "What were you doing? You were going down the stairs. It was raining in Nogales." And some people will hear comments, "Man, were you drunk, or were you on drugs, or did you fall off your horse, or man?" I wish any of those would be would be cool because it would be at least a good story. Man, I was just coming down some stairs and it was wet and I fell and I landed hard on my back. That caused me breaking my 2 ribs. So that's what happened. I thought I was healed already and we were already in preparation for the Vaquero Navarrete fight, and I got hit with a body shot. And it was very close to my ribs and it re-injured it again. And I remember thinking to myself, man, this sucks, man, because why is this happening to me? I just had my first loss. It's been a rough year, man, because, there's a lot of, I hate to bring this up again, but me coming out positive was one of the worst things that could happen because I've never been a cheater. And being accused of that positive thing came out and I was like, well, what is this? And it's this substance. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a diuretic. Helps you lose weight, supposedly. And then people will say, it's performing enhancing drug. He's using steroids. He's doing this. Some people were saying I was using cocaine, and it just went off wrong. Everything that came on, and that really hurt me. So coming off with being accused as a cheater really hurt me. One of my worst performances that I've had was against Constanzao, because the whole situation of a coming out positive thing I wasn't there to fight. It was my worst performance. Then my next fight against Shakur, I lose. Then I get to come back. I say, oh man, life is giving me another opportunity for a world title. And I break my rib. Man, what's going on? Just things are coming like, I feel like, man, this is not fair. This is not fair to me being accused of cheaters. Like, man, why? And then the shitty fight that I had, then losing I felt the world dropped on me, because you train so hard. When you work so hard, everything should go off well, supposedly. If you wake up early, you train hard, and you be consistent, you discipline, and you follow your dream, over time has proven me that everything will go well. Well, it didn't go well that night with Shakur. It wasn't my night. And Shakur was just very dominant that night. And that's another thing that's bad. And then, all right, like I said, I got another opportunity. Then my rib, man, what's going on, man? Back-to-back things are coming to me. So it was just I was very frustrated with the fact that, I supposedly healed from that body shot, from the rib injury. Then I get hit with a body shot. Man, I was very disappointed. And then being able to go to the fight, Vaquero Navarrete, and seeing a win. I was happy that a Mexican won the fight, but that was supposed to be me fighting there. So all that happened, then
You're back May 20th, though.
So
Yeah.
Right now, everything's gone well. Very positive, very, very focused. Like I said, I train, come back to the house, relax, and stay focused on the game plan. Right now is to win against Adam Lopez. And Adam Lopez, he got a couple of losses. I beat him in 2019. And people might say, oh, it's a walk in the park. It's an easy fight. I don't see it that way. I see it Adam Lopez, who also has a dream to become a world champion. He also has that dream. All fighters want to become a world champion. So I cannot take this fighter lightly. People tell me, oh, Vaquero Navarrete, when are you going to fight him? Before I fight Vaquero Navarrete, I first got to pass through this guy. And in boxing, you can never think about another opponent when you got an opponent in front of you. That's disrespectful, and that's a bad move, because the fighter in front of you is dangerous as well. So right now I'm focused on Adam Lopez, and like I said, I can't take that fighter lightly, due to the fact that this fighter put me in the canvas in the first round. So right now I'm very focused on fighting back Adam Lopez. God willing, con el favor de Dios, we win this fight. Then we'll think about Vaquero Navarrete. We won't think we want Vaquero Navarrete, and it's not because Vaquero Navarrete in general, like his name. There's nothing personal with Vaquero. He just got that belt. He's got that belt, and he's a target. He's a target for every fighter out there. Every fighter out there wants to fight Vaquero Navarrete. So God wants we win this fight. My dream is to be champion at the end of this year. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes, man. So one thing about touching low, being on the bottom after all these bad situations that happened during the last year and this year and all that, can only mean one thing, because it's only up from here. Nothing but it has to be positive, because I give it my best, man. I work hard. I work hard every single day. What can I say? I let the hands do the talking, or let my actions. If you're a person who's been around me and seen me in the gym, you'll know that I work hard. And even if you see me when I'm home, man, because you don't only train hard in the gym, you train at home as well, because you got to be focused on the diet. You got to be focused on the game plan. You're always watching tapes. I see Chavez. I'll see Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard. I'll see every type of fighter, so I can continue learning and giving my best. So you're always training in some sense, and it becomes a lifestyle.
Of course.
It's a never-ending thing. I train. You come back home, you fight, and after a fight, just rest for a couple of days, and I'm back in the gym. Because that's, like I said, man, this is what I love to do. And I don't ever picture myself retiring, man. Like that, I love the sport so much that I hate when I hear this retirement. Because there's gonna come a day where every fighter has to retire, and you gotta all think about it. But it's like I hate thinking about it. It's like, man, how can I stretch my boxing career? Well, if I want that to happen, I gotta get hit as less as possible. I gotta be healthy, eating right, having a clean environment around me. So for me to do that, you have to become a lifestyle. And then, like I said, continue at fight. And then the next couple of days, I'm back in the gym because I want to continue my journey as a fighter. And I don't want to ever to end.
Yeah, we're excited to see you back on May 20th, champ. We don't want to take too much more of your time. We know it's your day off. So we want to give you the final floor and final message to the fans.
Oh, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys having me here and having this chance to talk about this. It was very fun. It was very fun. I swear.
We appreciate you, man. We appreciate
Thank God.
Glad
you had a great time, Oscar.
Fights, not because I remember, but it's because I move on to the next fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And there's a saying in boxing: you're only as good as your last fight. So my last fight, I'm not. How could I be proud of losing? So I'm not very proud of my last performances. So I'm working hard to come back strong. And like I said, thank you for reminding me of those good fights. To all my fans out there, what can I say? I'll never promise you guys a knockout. I'll never promise you guys a fight of a year. I'll never promise you something crazy that's going to happen inside the ring. What I will always promise all my fans and everybody watching me, that I will always give my best. That I will always give it my 100% every time I'm in the ring. And that's what I'm going to do. The same way Marco Antonio Barrera and Eddie Morales inspired me, I'm going to do my best to inspire the next generation to you guys. So tune in, man. Tune in for this fight. Adam Lopez, can't take this fight lightly. I'm going to do whatever it takes to take him out and move on from there. Move on from there this year. My dream is to become a world champion, and I'm planning on doing it. Coming strong. I'm feeling better than ever, physically, mentally prepared for this, and tune in because you're going to see something different.
Well, appreciate you, champ. We hope you enjoy, the rest of camp, and we're excited to see you when you get here in Vegas.
All right, brother, man. Thank you, and what can I say? See you guys soon.